Alright guys, gals, and everything in between. I just have to start this video off. Now, usually I start with a witty intro and all of that cool stuff. This video is different for me. So, I was working on a collaboration with my dear friend Justin Maldonado, who plays Sherlock Holmes in my Holmes University series. And we had just sat down to kind of just sort of shoot the breeze for a bit, and all of a sudden my phone kind of explodes a little bit. And I pull out my phone, and a friend of mine named Marcus shared a video to me and like tagged me in a comment, and I was like, okay, what does he have to say? And stuff, because it was kind of late at night, and all of a sudden it said, Cloverfield 2 trailer to go with 13 hours, which I'm going to see in review. But all of a sudden I sat there and I was like, this isn't even funny. I mean, for years, like, of everything you could make up, why would you make up a Cloverfield trailer? And so Justin was like, hang on, let me fact check this, because I was like, what? That's kind of random. Like, of all the movies that people could fictionalize, why that one? He's like, hang on, let's fact check this. He pulls out his phone, I pull out my phone, he's like, wait a minute, there's an actual trailer right here. And I was like, dude, I've seen every fake trailer for this movie, for Cloverfield 2, under the sun. You're not going to surprise me with this one. And all of a sudden, he turns on the video, and we start watching it on the screen. And I'm like, this doesn't look like Cloverfield. And then all of a sudden I was like, wait a minute, Paramount and Bad Robot. And just, then all of a sudden I see scenes I don't recognize from fake trailers, and I was like, wait a minute. No, this isn't possible. This is fake. And I watched the entire thing and slowly fell into the reality of what just happened to me. And that was one of the most amazing feelings as a creative man I have ever experienced. And as Justin and I are watching this, I was like, oh my God, it's real. And what hit me was all of a sudden, in the trailer, Mary Elizabeth Winstead gets all intense and awesome, and she's got like the handcuff on her, and then the fire. And like John Goodman's got like a barrel, and he puts a glove on, and he looks at him, and they look terrified, and she's trying to get out, and she closes the door on him and locks the door, and he goes, wait, if you open that door, you'll get us all killed. And I was like, oh, what are you talking about? And she like turns around to look outside, and then covers her face in horror. And all of a sudden, the words fade that I have waited for 8 years to see on a screen again. And it said Cloverfield. And then 10 Lane. And I was like, I melted in my seat, people. It was real. It is real. And then I saw the release date of March 11th, 2016. And I sat there and went, you have got to be kidding me. I am probably, I would argue, one of the biggest Cloverfield fans to ever exist. Or will ever exist. Cloverfield, the reason why I did that intro as seriously as I do, is because Cloverfield changed my life, okay? One of the things that got me into YouTube and got me interested in YouTube was I wanted to look up more about this movie that didn't have a title yet. It was called 11808, and there were people, the channel like OOTWPCS, and there were a couple others, one, I want to say, like Nighthawk or something, like Night Owl, and like, but the one I remember the most is OOTWPCS, and watching their speculatory videos all the way up until the release of Cloverfield, and the aftermath. and how one of them even made a documentary. And like, the captivation I had with Cloverfield got me into YouTubing and changed the way I saw the world as someone who wanted to be a filmmaker. Literally, Cloverfield changed my life. So when I saw that movie in the theaters and it became solidified as one of my favorite movies ever made, and I heard that they had greenlit a sequel and they might do it, and people told me, I had people in film school tell me I was crazy. There was no feasible way, if you look at it, they would ever make another Cloverfield installment of any kind. And they were like, it's never happening, especially now. And mind you, that was over 5 years ago now. And I said to him, I was like, I'm telling you, there's going to be a Cloverfield sequel. I promise you, there's going to be a Cloverfield sequel. As I'm watching this, I'm like, reality set in. I was seeing what I always dreamt would exist. Which is why I call myself a hypocrite now when I say that the Star Wars fanboys overreacted for their Episode 7 trailers, because I got the same way with this Cloverfield trailer, which is funny because it actually starts out and it is virtually nothing that involves Cloverfield, like at all. Like we start and like John Goodman's playing puzzles and the game of life, which I think was kind of ironic, and you just see them in a house and they're spreading mayonnaise. Mayonnaise, the legendary condiment that goes good with everything, if you ask me. And then all of a sudden something shakes up above, and then they look down and John Goodman's got a different look on his face. Oh no, Roseanne ain't coming home tonight. And it just gets darker and darker. And then you realize that this is a sinister film that is going to be a personal story. Now, a lot of people have speculated over the past 24 hours about what is going to happen. Now, let me shed some light. As for me, personally, one of the biggest Cloverfield fans who's ever existed, believes. I believe that when J.J. Abrams says this is going to be a blood relative to Cloverfield, it's going to be in the same universe. It is going to be a kind of sequel. Now, this trailer is perfectly put together because you don't know what it is and you do not know what it is fully until the title, but the second the title hits, the whole thing makes sense. And that is genius. This trailer is perfectly crafted. My mother was like, this is amazing. Like, everyone I've talked to is like, this is an amazing trailer. They abandoned the found footage, which is something that even I have suggested that they do, and they did. And it was amazing to see just this bunker, which means it's a lower budgeted film. And a lot of people are like, well, 99.999% of the movie is going to be in the bunker. I disagree, because they said they are releasing this film in IMAX. Now, if you are going to spend the money on an IMAX camera, let me do some basic film for you. IMAX cameras cost more, which is why not every film is shot in IMAX. The ones that are have to have a larger scope. Would you honestly do an entire movie shot in IMAX, which is more expensive, and you could have made your dollars stretch longer if you were just shooting it in a bunker? No. Which means, I'm telling you, there is going to be, when she's going up the tube, and he's like, you're never going to get out of here, like, we're all going to die, and all of that, and then she looks out shocked, she's going to open the door, IMAX right there, and it's going to be the last third of the movie. I think this that we saw was the middle, like the second act of the film. And the beginning act is going to lead up with some Cloverfield-y stuff. Basically, some people have speculated that they just took a script by the writer called The Cellar and said, okay, we'll just throw in a Cloverfield monster reference and we'll call it Cloverfield. No, because J.J. Abrams is a smart man. Now, most everyone on the planet, at least multiple points throughout J.J. Abrams' career, question him on moves. They're like, that is ridiculous. And then all of a sudden, when this happens, and it's always great, he has not faltered in terms of that. I mean, some people would argue me on Star Wars. I said it sucked, so that was my one exception. But Cloverfield, the idea that J.J. Abrams would say, I'm gonna make a Cloverfield kind of sequel and not involve Cloverfield at all, but put the title in there so we make money. Yeah, no, that's a terrible idea, especially if they've made a sequel and they're doing it for a lower budget, which means that they're going to try and stretch their dollar a bit, but they're open to making a franchise, if you ask me, because if this movie makes money and it's even kind of liked, they will probably do another installment. Why in the world would J.J. Abrams fictionalize the Cloverfield title? Some people have speculated it's like a Twilight Zone thing, where it's just they're going to call Cloverfield a thing. But if that were the case, it would be found footage, or at least some kind of tie to Cloverfield that they would make more obvious, which they don't. Which leads me to believe, why in the world would J.J. Abrams fictionalize the Cloverfield title? Some people have speculated it's like a Twilight Zone thing, where it's just they're going to call Cloverfield a thing. But if that were the case, it would be found footage, or at least some kind of tie to Cloverfield that they would make more obvious, which they don't. Which leads me to believe this is an expansion into the universe that is Cloverfield, like how the Avengers is Cloverfield. Well, now this one is Captain America. It's one of those kinds of things, which means I could see this growing universe for Cloverfield, because there's Cloverfield Keishan, now there is 10 Cloverfield Lane, which we don't even know if the address is going to mean anything, but the bunker, I feel like that's going to be the middle act of the movie. The final act, I believe, is going to show us where this world is, so it exposes the world for how it really is, and the aftermath of Cloverfield, which is honestly what I want to see. I want to see what happened after Hammer Down. How did the Cloverfield monster affect us? And I feel like John Goodman, the poster says monsters come in all different shapes or something like that. I feel like there's the giant monster, of course, but John Goodman, being someone who's going to take advantage of now I can be in survival mode, he is now the monster of this movie. But at the same time, we will of course have the giant monster, because, you know, there's rattling up above and guns and blaring and that kind of stuff. And that is captivating to me, at the idea we are going to expand the Cloverfield universe, even if it's in a smaller way. There's some people sounded frustrated with that, and I'm just saying, a smaller scale does not mean bad. A smaller scale means we're going to get a personal story that will probably delve into this world more. And honestly, I have wanted this for so long that I think that could be fascinating. The idea of the possibilities are endless. The genius marketing campaign, it's all great. All right, guys, gals, and everything in between, I will update you as any bits of information come out on this film. 10 Cloverfield Lane. It is seriously mind-boggling to me that this has happened, and it has. So I will update you. I feel like I owe it to Cloverfield for shaping me into who I am. So thank you, Cloverfield. Thank you, Bad Robot. Thank you, J.J. Abrams and all of the people involved. Until next time, love you guys.